All right, well, welcome to our 2025 annual membership meeting. We are providing this on May 16th, 2026. Excited to have a new camera view for us this year. So not everybody is just looking at me. You can actually see members of our board around us. We've got a couple of staff members here with us as well. So super excited to be sharing our annual report with everybody. As a reminder, a lot of this information also goes out in the companion magazine as well, so folks can see it there in writing. And then I'm thinking, Erin, if folks want, we can also send out the slide deck if people would like it. So I'm happy to share that later. Go. Game plan for today, we'll review just mission, foundation, how we approach work very quickly. We'll keep it kind of short and sweet. We are absolutely going to show impact over 2025. We're going to talk a little bit about storytelling. I will say over really the last 2 years, we've really been focused on storytelling and like how we tell that story. We think that's really, really important for our donors and supporters so that people can see what their donations are doing, what their volunteer hours are doing, and just how they help create impact across the country. We'll certainly review our 2025 financials. And I'm also really excited to share some thoughts from the team. So like I did last year, I did ask the team a couple of questions really wanted them to be able to share with our donors and supporters what their support means to them. So our mission is to bring animals out of crisis and strengthen the bond between people and animals through emergency sheltering, disaster relief services, financial assistance, and education. We accomplish this by engaging volunteers and supporters, collaborating with others, and maximizing the use of online technology. We do this through 3 programs, and we'll go through each one of these programs in just a moment. But I also want to share. I'm going to pause for a second. Erin, you can see the slides, right?
Yes, sorry. Too many. Yes, I can.
Okay, you're fine. They can't see the slides here.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, okay. You're fine.
I was just checking to make sure.
Yeah. No, they're good. Well, it's actually kind of important. We're going to pause. Hold on. Thank you. I'm like, yeah. Yep. Hold on one second, Erin. I'm going to stop sharing. We probably won't be able to see them anymore, which is fine. I had it backwards. There we go. Technology, I tell you. Okay. Now, Erin, you should be able to see slides again.
Yes.
And then give me 1 second. I have to move here for folks. Okay, now we're set. Everybody can see what they need to see. All right, cool. So we're going to walk through our 3 programs. But I did just want to pause and just talk a little bit about how we approach this work. We really are centered on preserving the human-animal bond. We are an animal well-being organization, but we also really recognize that there are animals generally, or there are people generally attached to animals, right? And we really are committed to approaching this work with compassion, empathy, and curiosity. You see it through all of our programs, and this idea of really meeting people, animals, and communities where they're at, and that practice of non-judgment, okay? And so this, I think, is just really foundational to our work, everything that we do. So RedRover Responders Program, this is our volunteer program. We have volunteers throughout the US and Canada who do a variety of deployments. I'll just touch on those briefly in just a second, but in 2025 alone, we completed 16 deployments or projects. We helped 3,369 animals through 3,280 volunteer hours. It was a total of 75 volunteers that participated in those 16 deployments. We also trained an additional 64 volunteers And we worked with 11 partner organizations. Some of those partners are big, some of those partners are small, but really, really proud to continue that partner work. And I think we're even bringing on at least one new partner in 2026. Also, extremely delighted to share that we completed our 300th deployment in 2025. In December, I believe it was, with Humane World for Animals. So really exciting to have completed that 300th deployment. And this year we've already completed a few more. So we're at more than 300 deployments. And those deployments, again, like I said, they're a variety of activities, from emergency animal sheltering to animals displaced by natural disasters to animals displaced out of cruelty, as well as our community program support, which could be us making a domestic violence shelter pet friendly, the growth of our access to vet care work, where we're doing larger scale vaccination, basic veterinary care, spay neuter, to our unchaining work. So getting dogs off of outside tethers and into safe outdoor enclosures. So really excited to continue to see the impact and the growth in the responders program. And now I'm going to check a button real quick before I hit play. As I mentioned, we've really been focusing on storytelling. So all of the videos that I'm going to share today are on our YouTube channel, but I think they're just a wonderful way to show the impact of what we all do together as a community. So I'm going to play in just a second. Zoe or Aaron, let me know if something is not working on your end.
Hi guys, it's Callie here with RedRover Responders.
Hi everyone, I'm Tia and I'm here with our RedRover Responders volunteer team.
My name's Mike and we're here helping the Humane Society of Tulsa take care of these animals.
And we're officially on the ground in West Monroe, Louisiana.
Taking care of over 300 rescued Maltese dogs and puppies.
And right now we just built an enclosure for little Tony over here, who's as happy as she can be.
And we're here providing free essentials like vaccinations, flea and tick meds, and ID tags.
Every collar, vaccine, and bag of food helps reinforce that pets are family.
This massive event wouldn't be possible without our amazing supporters.
And just couldn't be more thankful.
And our compassionate supporters who help make this life-changing community outreach possible.
Thank you to Paws Nila, the incredible local community, and all of our volunteers for making this life-saving work possible.
I love it. So incredible impact there. I'm not going to lie, I had a really hard time figuring out which videos I was going to share with everybody today. I also wanted to share this feedback from one of our responders volunteers. This deployment made it possible for me to participate in efforts that directly impact the welfare of animals in need, while helping communities in the company of an impressive group of people. This was a learning opportunity for me, and the connections made with my housemates was the best part of this response. I have an unlimited respect for all the awesome people who are part of this response, and I hope I can model many of the things I learned to improve the welfare of animals in the future. Thank you. I really love this quote, and the responders team also called this one out too, because I think it shows the impact of we're helping animals in the moment. Our volunteers are learning more and they're taking that information back to their communities. And so I think it really just goes to show the impact of the responders program and how wide it is. And that idea of like, there are ripples, that are, really moving from just one response into communities across the country. I'm going to transition into our RedRover Relief Urgent Care work. So these are emergency veterinary grants. In 2025, we provided $173,132 to provide emergency veterinary care to 700 animals in need. All told, 5,083 animals were helped, and that number comes from the number of applications we received and the number of information and referrals that goes back out. The reason why I like to call this out is because when a family is facing a veterinary emergency, it can be traumatic, it can be scary, and our case managers are that compassionate and empathetic voice on the other end of the line, who are meeting those pet families where they're at and not judging them, and just really, I think, providing, again, that compassionate voice. To date, 28,285 pets and their people have been assisted with a relief urgent care grant. So with every urgent care grant, we ask how many pets are in the home, how many people are in the home, because again, we see this as supporting the human-animal bond. Obviously, our most important piece is we want animals to get the emergency veterinary care that we need, but we want whole families to feel that, right? And to be able to stay together. So happy to call out that 28,000 number. Here are just a couple of photos. So as I did last year, I asked the Relief Urgent Care team to call out some of their favorite applications that they received, or ones that just really stood out to them. So you see Barney here. I'm just pulling up some notes real quick. So you see Barney.
And a friend.
And Barney and a friend. I mean, how could I not use that picture of Barney and friend? I love it. And I wanted to call out Barney, and the case manager wanted to call out, obviously they were super, super grateful for having the help. But in their follow-up report, they said, please let me know how I can share this story, because it shows how much you care and how you felt my pain, right? So again, just speaking to that compassionate and empathetic voice. Then we have Corner Store Kitty. So Corner Store Kitty was a community cat who was found outside of a bodega, hence the name Corner Store Kitty. Corner Store Kitty is now named Bo, short for bodega. This family fell in love with this cat, had a skin issue. We were able to step in and help, because we often will help Good Samaritans. And in that process, they welcomed Bo into the home. And Bo is now doing really well, and is apparently a super affectionate little kitty who wants all the love all the time. So that is Corner Store Kitty, aka Bo. And then there's Sparkle. And Sparkle was helped, and then we received this update from Sparkle's human family. Thank you for believing in us and for helping us hold on to what matters most. With gratitude and love, Sparkle and her family. So all three are doing very, very well. And those were three that really stood out to some of our case managers. But I also wanted to call out that we don't just help dogs and cats. Definitely encourage you to keep an eye on our social media. You will see all different kinds of animals that get helped in our urgent care grant program. But here's a special one. So this is Mike. Our team especially loves getting these kinds of videos and photos after the fact, because as you can imagine, our teammates get really invested in this. They are walking that journey with pet parents, and so it's always wonderful when they get to receive these kinds of updates about pets. We're going to transition to still our RedRover relief work, but our domestic violence safe housing side of things. So in 2025, we provided 8,400 safe nights of boarding through our Safe Escape Grants program. And we provided just a little over $1.3 million in our safe housing grants program. So Safe Nights, that is our boarding program. We are helping one family at a time. Safe housing grants, those are the larger grants going to domestic violence shelters, animal shelters, and we're excited to have continued our homeless shelter granting program as well. We have moved out in 2026. We've moved out of the pilot stage for our homeless shelter grants. Is now an official part of our safe housing grants program. Through Safe Escape, so 297 animals were helped for that 8,400 safe nights. The 1.3 million translates to 28 safe housing grants. So those will be either new programs or expansions of existing programs. And I'm really excited to share that we trained 1,800 people in 2025 alone on the importance of and the how to keep people and pets safe and together through crisis. Really exciting. Since 2007, we provided more than $8.5 million through the Safe Escape and Safe Housing programs together. And I believe we are going to hear from our board chair in just a minute. Just make sure we didn't skip. Good. But first, from Executive Director at the Door of Hope, this RedRover grant is a game changer. Our clients are already carrying the heavy burden of crisis, trauma, or displacement. To now be able to tell them, yes, your pet can come with you is an incredible step toward true healing and safety. It aligns perfectly with our mission to meet people where they are, with dignity, compassion, and support for their whole family, including their furry loved ones. And of course, it's not just furry, it's scaled and feathered and all the other things, right? So now I think we'll hear from Zoe. And we're going to see Snickers. There we go.
People will stay in abusive situations because of pets, but it's this really invisible part of doing that work. So when there is an organization that's actually meaningfully kind of addressing one of these causes, I just think that's so essential, and it's something I want to see adopted in kind of the national conversation about domestic violence. Hi, I'm Zoe Eddy, she, her, hers, and I am chair of the volunteer board for RedRover. Understanding that non-human animals are a part of the landscape, a part of our worlds, and that really looking at how we're all connected together can just bring so much more health and well-being for everyone involved. I think one of the programs that's really important to me is our Purple Leash Project and domestic violence programs. RedRover makes an essential intervention to get people and non-human animals to safety. Okay, so if you are in a dangerous situation and you have a pet and your choice is to leave that situation and potentially leave your pet in danger, what would that feel like? And I think that raising awareness around these lines that really kind of build understanding and build empathy and build connection are kind of one of the most essential parts of that. And that's like deeply important to who I am as not just a researcher, but as a person.
Thank you, Zoe. Love it. And it's fun to have Snickers on the TV right now because Snickers is also with us again.
She's attending.
And I really do think it goes to show how much we really value the human animal bond. And so even for us who are in this room, some of us are away from our homes and our own pets. We feel that the power of that human animal bond with being able to have Snickers here with us today. So amazing. Let's talk about our RedRover Readers program. So this is our program to teach kids about empathy, compassion, and kindness for animals and people. So Readers is our children's book, so traditional children's books. We train teachers, humane educators, volunteers on how to use children's books to be able to talk about those concepts and be able to really give kids the skills they need for perspective taking and empathy building. So 403 children were reached in 2025, as well as 94 individuals were trained. 59 readings were completed, and I'm excited to share that 3 guides were translated as well. So translating the guides into Spanish. And so the team is really working on creating some more bilingual opportunities in the Readers program. 99.5% of participants will recommend this workshop. I think that's just an amazing number. I know many people who have taken the Readers workshop, me included, who are not going to be going and reading to kids, but take so much value out of the Readers training. And Chris is actually going to tell us a little bit about that in a minute via a video. So really, really exciting. To date, we've reached 133,526 children through the RedRover Readers program. This training did not just teach me to ask better questions, it showed me how to listen, to really listen with an open heart and without judgment. And that kind of goes back to that that I just shared of like, there's so much value that comes out of the Readers training, even if you never read. a book to a kid. Right? Kind News Magazine. So this is the magazine that goes out into classrooms across the country. In 2025, an estimated 301,034 children were reached through 2,858 Kind News subscriptions across the country. Since 2017, we've reached more than 2 million kids. And we'll talk a little bit more about sort of where we're moving forward. We'll talk about the Spread Kind News campaign a little bit. But just really, really exciting. Over 2 million kids, I think, is an amazing number to be talking about all different kinds of animals, what it means to share our world with animals. And what I also think is particularly fun is different ways that kids can think about working with animals when they become adults as well. So let's hear from Krista about the Readers Program.
I particularly love the Readers Program. I not only love animals, but kids are just inspiring, and to provide such a valuable service to communities in that way is so unique. I've never seen something like it, and what I've learned so much is how our words are so impactful, but in a good, positive way. My name is Krista Sheely. I am a professor of software engineering, and I've been a board member for a year and a half. I have a huge passion for animals and rescuing animals, and I was looking for an opportunity to volunteer. It's been an amazing experience ever since to help humans and animals across the nation. For me, the human-animal bond is unconditional love and support. There's just a value there that can't be bought, and I think that's really important for me in my life and what I've seen in others as well.
Thank you, Krista.
Thank you for saying Krista's sharing with the video, because I was like,
I know. Krista got very nervous for a moment. I'm going to make Krista share. So again, really quick snapshot of program impacts over 2025. Want to review our 2025 financials real quick. Again, this is in the companion magazine. It is also listed on the website. And we're happy to answer questions if folks have them. Transparency is really, really important to us. And so always happy to talk about this. Expense breakdown 2025, just over 6.6 million went out the door, and just over 8.6 million came in the door. This is a record-breaking year for us. Just a really, really wonderful year in terms of income for us. And, you know, I hope it goes without saying, extremely grateful for all of our donors and supporters, you know, who can help create impact, because then our goal is to get that money back out the door again as well. And so that is, of course, one of our focus points moving forward is how do we get that money back out the door, and how do we make sure that RedRover has, you know, a really solid future for the next 40 years, because I'm also delighted to say 2027, we will be celebrating our 40th anniversary. So big year, everybody drink water. We all drink water when we talk about 40th anniversary. Okay. Erin, anything you want to say? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but anything you want to say in terms of 2025 and just donor support?
No, just always just thank you so much. We literally couldn't do what we do without donor support. It is a cyclical cycle, and it's just so appreciated. Thank you to everybody for what you do.
Yeah. Thanks, Erin. And let's take a moment to hear from some other members of our team. As I mentioned at the top, I reached out to the entire team with a couple of questions, and this is what they had to say. What one word would you use to describe donors and supporters? Appreciated, possum, caring, compassionate, dedicated, empathetic, noble, passionate, generous, inspiring, and reliable. And then I also asked them, in a few words, what would you share with donors about the impact of their support? We so appreciate your generosity and the level of support we see for RedRover's life-saving programs, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you. Your generosity is the fuel that drives us as a community. Sorry, some of them are a little slower than others. Your kindness helps keep pets healthy and safe and families whole. Every contribution, however small and in whatever way it comes, is meaningful and so appreciated. Life-saving and life-changing, vital, truly making a difference, pet by pet, person by person. Can't do it without you. Animal lives are made better every day because of generous Red Rover donors, from saving animals going through veterinary emergencies to, so sorry. Your support makes such a meaningful difference in lives of so many pets and people. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And thank you for saving lives. I think that's the last one. Love it. So directly from our team to you. And one last video that I'm going to share with you. Hello, Red Rover community. I'm Katie Campbell, President and CEO, and I want to share a massive thank you as we wrap up 2025. What a year of impact it's been. Because of your incredible support, we have hit some monumental milestones this year. We helped our 9,000th animal through our Red Rover Relief Urgent Care Program and granted over $6 million to keep families and pets escaping abuse safe and together. We also reflected on the anniversaries of Hurricanes Katrina and Rita and hosted our first ever Domestic Violence Awareness Month webinar series, all while extending our hands-on support in communities across the country. To our volunteers, our partners, our donors, thank you. Your compassion makes every single rescue, every grant, and every safe night possible. You are the reason we can protect the bond that matters most. Thank you for making 2025 a year of life-changing impact. So again, I think just a different way to sort of talk about what we've already talked about in terms of 2025 impact. All of the videos that you've seen today are on our YouTube channel. So you can definitely check those out and many more. Again, we couldn't do this without you, from our volunteers to our partners, organizations big and small, to our individual donors and supporters, certainly our staff. They are amazing, dedicated group of people, and our board members, our board directors who are here helping, to create that vision for years to come. So just thank you for being a part of the team and helping us to create impact across the country. As I mentioned, just a couple of things to look ahead. We are going to be doing our domestic violence awareness campaign again. That will be in October. Giving Tuesday is going to be coming up on Tuesday, December the 1st. And as I already alluded to, we are looking forward to celebrating our 40th anniversary in 2027. So lots of exciting things to come. And, I will just reiterate, we're focused on creating even more impact for years to come. So really, really exciting things coming ahead. Please follow us on social. Become a volunteer if you haven't already. You don't have to come with the skills. We're going to help you with that. You can be a Red Rover responder, you can be a Red Rover reader, and certainly consider maybe creating a fundraiser. So Aaron and the team have done a wonderful job laying out the website, redrover.org/fundraisers, all different ways for you to consider creating a fundraiser if that is important to you. I know we're just about at time. Any questions from folks, from anybody joining us? Aaron, if you got any questions via email, please feel free to shout those out. And then any questions for folks in the room or from folks in the room? Great overview. Thank you.
It was very good.
Thank you.
Very
Cool.
good.
All right. I think that is good. We are going to roll into our 2025 audit presentation. Thank you. I'm going to pause the recording for just a minute while we get set up for that. Don't go anywhere. you will stay on the same.
Or do we need to? Yeah.
We do have copies, if you all would like to see the final. Do you want to see them? Okay, all right, cool.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. My name is Melanie Dahl. I'm a senior manager at Gilbert CPAs. Our firm has been working with you all for many years. I don't know exactly how many. I was here last year presenting the audit, but this is my first year working through the entire process with your team. Except for 10 years ago, I worked on your audit when I was brand new. I love it. So I'm happy to be back. Okay, so the first document we're going to go over looks like this if you have it on your computer or in front of you. It's called the Communications with Those Charged with Governance, and it summarizes certain elements of the audit process and the audit results that we're required to communicate to the board. In the first section, under responsibilities and opinions, it states that the financial statements are the responsibilities of management, and our responsibility as auditors is to express an opinion on those financial statements, but do our testing procedures in order to be comfortable enough to hopefully express an unmodified opinion, meaning we think the financial statements are materially accurate, and we did issue an unmodified opinion. So that's a clean opinion on the financial statement. Over on the right side, under interactions with management, we would be required to disclose to you if we became aware that management had asked questions or communicated with any other accountants. If we were giving them an opinion on an accounting treatment that they didn't like and they wanted a second opinion, those other accountants would be required to communicate with us to make sure they have all of the relevant facts and circumstances at hand. We did not become aware that any interactions or communications like that occurred. And before issuing our audit report, we do request that management sign what's called a management representation letter, and that is a letter asserting that they have provided us with complete and accurate information and been forthcoming in their responses to our questions during audit process. And we did receive that representation letter before issuing the audit yesterday. And we did not encounter any significant difficulties in dealing with management during the audit. They were very well prepared and cooperative, and it was a very, very smooth process. Under qualitative aspects of accounting practices, there were no new accounting standards adopted during the year, so no changes in accounting methods or standards to go over or that will cause any sort of inconsistency between what you saw last year and what you see this year. And we didn't know any transactions entered into during the year that lacked authoritative guidance or that were unclear in terms of treatment. The financial statements do include line items that involve estimates. The most sensitive estimates in RedRover's financial statements are the collectability of accounts receivable. That is money that you were owed, but is it collectible? Are the donors going to follow through? The valuation of investments, selection of useful lives of property and equipment, and the allocation of functional expenses between management and general fundraising and programmatic activities. And we evaluate the methods that those allocations are based on and the assumptions that underlie those estimates, and we determined that they were reasonable and within lines with accounting standards. And over on the results of the audit side, we have a disclosure here about our risk assessment process, because the audit process also always starts with an assessment of risk. And auditing standards do require us to consider two significant risks when planning our audit procedures. And those are improper revenue recognition due to fraud and management override of controls. So those two were considered as risks in designing our audit procedures. We didn't find any issues with those, but they are things that we're required to consider as possibilities. And we didn't identify any other significant risks based on the nature of your operations or your organizational structure. And we did not find any significant adjustments or omitted disclosures during the audit. We had a few very small adjustments, but very, very minor. So overall, the financial statements that we were given to audit were very clean. Are there any questions on that document before we move on to the financial statements? Okay. The next document is the actual audit report. The first 2 pages are our report that summarize our opinion. The second paragraph here says again that we issued an unmodified opinion. The next couple paragraphs go a bit more into detail on things that I already covered, responsibilities of management and auditors' responsibilities, so I won't go into those again. The audit report also discloses or elaborates a little bit on the professional standards that we're required to adhere to when performing the audit, in case you want to look at that, but I won't go into that. On your balance sheet, there weren't any significant changes. I'll just go over any significant changes. I'm sure there are things that you're probably aware of already, given your involvement, but there weren't any significant changes in your current assets. There was a rather large increase in cash, but that just means that you had a lot of net income during the year, which is good. You do have a 13.4 current ratio, and that's extremely healthy. We just want to see it at over 1. That's current assets to current liabilities. It means you're more than capable of paying your liabilities with your current asset. Your investments did increase about $500,000, and there wasn't a lot of investment purchasing or selling going on during the year. That's just strictly investment. Your accounts payable did decrease about $300,000, and there was a $289,000 grant payable outstanding in 2024 that wasn't present in 2020. And overall, you saw about a $2.1 million increase in net assets. Over to the income statement. Not a significant change in unrestricted contributions and grants. Small increase, but nothing particularly of note aside from just a general increase in individual giving. In the bequest area, we saw quite a large increase. And as you all probably know, bequests are not, they're variable. You can't really plan for when or how much you're going to get. So in 2025, you did receive 3 large bequests of note totaling $1.4 million. And in 2024, your 2 largest bequests totaled $360,000. So got more bequests in 2025 and also of a larger amount. Your expenses did increase about $240,000, and that's almost entirely due to payroll. You added 1 full-time employee and gave across the board increases to staff. And under your donor restricted contributions, those decreased about $750,000. In 2024, you had a tax mark grant for exactly $750,000, and that did not happen again in 2025. The next 2 pages are your functional expenses, and which breaks down your expenses by natural category, personnel, rent, supplies, into your functional categories. I mentioned earlier that just the most notable increase was the increase in salaries and benefits, and I went over the sweeping for that. We do like to look at the ratio of programmatic expenses to general and administrative, and you are using 78% of your money goes to programmatic services and 12% to supporting services, and that's a really great ratio. 10 to 25% is what we generally see. And on the cash flow, the nicest thing to look at here is that your operations generated almost $1.7 million in cash during the year, hence your increase in cash. And into the footnotes, The footnote 1 gives some additional information about your operations, your programmatic areas, and then it goes into significant accounting policies. So any material, large line item on the balance sheet or income statement should have a paragraph in here explaining the accounting treatment of that item. And as noted earlier, there were no changes in any of this information from last year. Footnote 2 is called liquidity and availability of resources. That summarizes your financial assets. So assets that either are cash or investments or things that will imminently become cash or investments, like a cash receivable, like grants receivable. And then it subtracts out items that aren't available for general expenditures, donor restricted net assets that have to be used for certain purposes. And then you get your total financial assets available for general expenditures within the next year. Your number is 5.7 million, which is about 10.5 months of general operating expenses. And that's really great. We like to see 3 to 6 months, a healthy number there, and you're at 10.5 months. And then the rest of that footnote explains management's liquidity management policies. And then we have footnotes summarizing grants and bequests receivable, and it summarizes investments by type. Gives a little bit more detail on property and equipment and your donor restricted net assets. All of your donor restricted net assets at the end of 2025 were restricted for the RedRover relief program. And then we give the report gives a little bit of information about your retirement plan and then your joint costs, which are costs for mailers that are somewhat fundraising appeals and somewhat information and education, and therefore our programmatic expenses. So that breakdown is disclosed, and that's the end. Happy to answer any questions, go into more detail on anything that anyone would like more detail about. Questions?
I'll just add some thoughts. The unmodified opinion, for those not familiar with deep auditing knowledge, is the best opinion that they can render on our financials, which means that our finance and accounting team did a good job of getting everything correct, complete, accurate. Current ratios, very healthy financially. Jim will talk more about that a little bit later.